Recording is in progress. So welcome everyone to Roundtable number, I should probably share my screen too, to the Roundtable number 13, first Roundtable of the year 2024. We haven't speaked in a while. I think the last Roundtable was over a month ago now. So we might have a few things to discuss, but let's get into it with our presentation and today's agenda, which we are going to guide through the guidelines 5.5 and our latest 5.5 and our latest modifications to it to comfort the guilds on the update for the atomic market, which broke some atomic assets API servers. Then we are going to get into this incident and maybe talk also about how we can resolve those incidents or in the future, or how those should be communicated and resolved. Then let's also touch the WAX tokenomics upgrade, which is going to happen very soon. I don't think we can share a definite timeline for it, but we are very close to it being released on the mainnet. It's also it's already rolled out on the testnet. And then we are going to get into the open agenda where you can suggest topics which you think we should talk about, and we can have a discussion about them too. So first of all, guidelines 5.5 are in effect as of 2 days ago, where we took the snapshot for the technical evaluation version 5.5 technical 1. We talked through, we didn't have the chance yet to talk through the changes on 5.5 as we released them on the 2nd of January. But as always, you can find the major changes happening in the guideline iteration on the very top. Some of the major changes are that we require producers and APIs to run Works version 4.04. I know there has been a release of 4.05 in the meantime, so we require at least version 4.04 on your mainnet APIs and on the producer. Unfortunately, while reviewing guilds yesterday and today on the tech evaluation, we noticed that 2 guilds, initially it was 3 guilds, but they managed to update fairly quickly, that there are still 2 guilds which are operating version 3 on the APIs at least, since we can't confirm the version on the block producers from the outside. So we are still discussing how we should handle this version mismatch. It will either be a penalty, or it honestly feels like it should be a minimum requirement failing. But Kefar can add something to it, surely. Go on, please.
So right now we're down to 1 guild. So we have 2 guilds that have the wrong version, outdated version on the API endpoint. One of the guilds confirmed that their producer is on 4.5. So it's only 1 guild that did not get the update in.
All right, thanks for the info. That's great. It's only 1 guild that has missed this update.
Quick question: is it a top
yes.
21 or standby?
No, it's standby.
It's standby. So probably it wouldn't affect the top 21 score at the moment, right? No, it won't.
And they're failing based on points anyway, so the discussion is obsolete at this point.
All right. Talking about the WAX version running on producers and APIs, there are already some adventurous guilds that are running version 5 on their mainnet producer. I'm curious to hear how that pans out, but it surely is something we can appreciate, because we can get some insights on how version 5 performs on our network too, before we require it on every guild. So if you're brave enough, take a leap and and update to version 5 already. We will probably require it until the next guidelines, but definitely nothing to confirm yet. So we updated the criteria. You can follow the link on the guidelines to this exact location, where we also started listing the required endpoints for Chain API to be eligible to receive points for your API node. Then we initially had an Atomic Assets API version update to version 1.3.25, which included the newly developed Atomic Market, the global buy offers on the Atomic Market. However, it turned out that the upgrade wasn't going so smoothly and caused a few issues here and there. And it, if I understood correctly, it was mainly a timing issue. So if you upgraded your Atomic Assets API to 1.3.25 pretty early, you wouldn't run into rate limits, which applied when you sync your global buy offers from other Atomic Assets APIs. So until this issue is fully resolved, we will not be evaluating the current Atomic Assets API version during this tech evaluation. And we also updated the criteria for it. Okay, Ben, I see you raised your hand. Let's briefly talk through the last change, and then we can maybe straight up get into this topic and start a discussion around the Atomic Assets API. So hold on for a second while we announce another change to the Light API and how we award points for it. We had to come to a consensus in the OIG. We had like 2 or 3 different opinions inside the OIG, how to score and award points for the Light API. And at the end, we agreed that we at least want to see some usage metrics reported for the Light API so that we know that it is used by anyone, even though we know the load isn't so great on some of the Light API points. However, while requiring the usage metrics, we also reduced the score for the Light API from 1 point to 0.5 points. It's a mix of how easy it is to host Light API, the server requirements needed for it, and the fact that Light API oftenly is used by the guild's products themselves more than by the public developers and builders community. So those are the notable changes on the version 5.5. As you can see, not much changed except the version bumps. The version bump for Atomic Assets API, we just reverted. First application of those guidelines is happening in this tech evaluation and of course in the following tech evaluations inside 5.5. Which leads us to the Atomic Assets API upgrade incident topic, which we want to get a little deeper into. And Ben is waiting to add some comments to it.
Yeah, so I think I was the first or one of the first to run into this issue. Basically, I wanted to update the Atomic API after there were already like 90,000 buy offers. And that means through the backfill script, you would have to call a public Atomic API endpoint 90 times with a limit of, I think 900 times with a limit of 100 buy offers, and then insert them into your Atomic database.
So do you mean by that you had to execute the filler script manually with a modified limit to be able to feed your own atomic assets API?
No, so you cannot increase the limit more than 100. So the method is not really great. But I don't know how to do it in a better way. I don't know, maybe someone can dump the buy offer table at a certain snapshot. I'm not sure, but at the current version, you would have to make 900 calls to the Atomic API to sync all the buy offers and then insert them all into your database. What I found was actually not that there's some kind of rate limit, but each call to the Atomic API would accumulate all the offers and then have one SQL statement where they are dumped in a batch of 100. And I think this causes like some buy offers to not be inserted. So what I changed basically was that each buy offer, 90,000 of them, is inserted in a single statement, and then it worked. I don't know. So I saved them all in first, and then ran over all the buy offers and then inserted them one by one, and then at the end it was complete. And then when you do the method with the bulk inserting, there are some missing ones. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I tried to run the script multiple times to check if it's because of rate limit, because I missed some calls. And I basically tried to rerun the ranges of the buy offers I was missing. And it ended up always being the same buy offer that was not in there. And I also didn't get it with trying to run over a certain range until I started inserting them one by one. So
okay,
it's a bit broken. It requires hacking. So at the moment, probably everyone who wants to update the version and wants to insert the buy offers will run into that problem, and are getting more and more.
All right. So let's try to find a way to help developers that are stuck on this issue. Maybe what does it look like when I just want to spin up my Atomic Assets API and I want it to be on sync, but I don't want to sync it from the beginning. So I take a backup of the Postgres, right? Can I then run into this exact issue?
I think it's a bit difficult because the table. So when you sync the buy offers from the Atomic endpoint, they will consider all the updates that happens afterwards, right? So if you have a snapshot of past buy offers, maybe until the state where there are 90,000, then you, because the script does not backfill all the update transactions, the cancels and the purchases, just takes the current state of the buy offer table and recreates that in your Atomic database. So when you take a snapshot, you will miss all the updates, like the cancellations and all that. So I would recommend, like if there's not a way to sync it from a ship, that you use maybe Hyperion and go over all buy offer transactions and rebuild them, basically replaying all the actions. Like listen to all the create buy offer, listen to all the cancel buy offer, listen to all the purchase events, and then rebuild it from there. But someone needs to write that script in some way.
All right, that's probably, that could be an like an official inquiry to Spielworks in a form of an issue on the GitHub repository. So just that they have the chance to look into it. So talking about issues and the repository of EOS or contract API, we all feel like how we resolve issues is nice. So it works in a timely manner. Someone runs into the issue. We as a community cooperate and collaborate to resolve the issue pretty fast, because we have, some of you have products that really depend on the Atomic Assets API. It's one of the most important parts of our infrastructure. So what's pretty nice is that the issue gets resolved in a timely manner by you guys. But what we also would like to see and expect is that there is some form of official communication. So whenever we run into those issues and talk about them on Telegram, it would be really good if we could sum it up and form a precise issue on the repository to let the team know what is breaking and why, and give them at least the chance to answer and resolve the issue. So that's what has been talked about a little bit in the last unofficial roundtable we had 1 week ago. Pablo, you want to add something to this
I
cause?
just want to clarify whether this is kind of ongoing or this is pre-3.24 upgrade version. So basically, we upgraded, well, I hope everyone upgraded to 3.24 upgrade, which is upstream of your contract API. Yeah, I don't think it's in releases. It's a separate tag, or it's just master. Yeah, this one.
Exactly.
So is this an issue which still happens in this specific version?
So I would say anybody who wants to update the Atomic API now will run into this issue. And it's only getting worse the more buy offers there are, because if we don't have a proper syncing method, that will only get worse, because you cannot make thousands of calls to public Atomic API to get the existing buy offers. There has to be some way to properly replay the content. I don't know how Pink used to do that. I don't know. There should have been previous updates where new content is being backfilled. Maybe because we had the private buy offers at some point, they were added, and then there was also a new Atomic version. So maybe there's the script like this available. I can also ask the Pink guys maybe.
May I also ask how this issue is identified? So basically, you try to do an API call retrieving what exactly? So what is the query that allows you to kind of reproduce this issue in the latest available version of Atomic? Because it's basically how it looks from my perspective. Everything, I can query assets, I can query users with assets, etc. And from my perspective, it looks good. But I hear that there's a problem with buy offers, and I am not sure how am I able to monitor this specific problem to be able to understand whether the upgrade to the latest or the fix with script will help us. So
if you update it before, then it just continues filling in the buy offers and updating them. If you do it now, there will be some missing ones, and then if you continue running the API, there's some call to update or purchase a specific buy offer, and then it doesn't exist in the table, and then it crashes.
There's two issues. That got fixed in the same release.
So this is kind of an issue that crashes your API. So it's not a client side. So basically, this is something that can break your server. Atomic API server, right?
Yes.
Oh,
There's two
yeah.
issues. There's two issues
Okay.
that got rolled the same 0.24 fix, and that's what Null picked up on. That's what's making it really confusing. There's the issue that breaks the filler or broke the filler, which triggered all the bells and whistles and alarms, and that's what got the hot fix out there. So if you were running, ultimately your indexer stopped. Now the problem is when you launch the updated version and it's going to try to do an update and fix these tables and backfill them, that fix that used to work no longer works because it hits rate limit. That's all kind of related to the indexer and even getting current data. They also, because of the buy offers, squeezed in an API update to the Atomic Market API. So I don't think the assets call, the Atomic assets endpoints are affected. It's only related to the market endpoints. But if you don't have the right branch and your data's right, but your API hasn't been updated properly because they snuck in a limit 1 or something like that. It was a quick little fix. But if you don't have it all, and it's all tagged as 0.24. So no matter what, you kind of end up, you don't really know until you go to run them. And I think Null said most of us have fixed it since then. But there's two issues that are kind of rolled in. One severe related to the indexer. Most of us that were running it, because it stopped, you had to fix it. The problem is that now if you're going back to fix it, that fix keeps getting harder and now impossible. But there's also an API that if you don't have the right version of the fix, the Atomic Market API actually is broken as well. So it's less noticeable. Some people don't even run it. But there's two that got rolled in there. So there was a second version of the issue that really confused the hell out of it because you've got a tagged version, the master version, and then you've got this branch. Or no, you've got a branch and then you've got a tagged version, right? And they don't match. Anyway, so hopefully in the newer editions it'll get better, but it really caused a lot of issues.
It's not really a rate limit. I've tried this a couple of times, and I saw the missing ID was fetched in one of the calls. I investigated, and I definitely got the ID. That's what that was missing in one call to the Atomic API, but then it creates this big statement of inserting 100 buy offers at a time, and after that statement is run, that offer is still missing. So there has to be some error in the SQL statement that is being created. For some reason that is rejected. So it's not really the rate limit. It's
even worse. There's something really broken.
I tried different Atomic APIs. I tried WaxDAO, for example, who had done the offer, the update before that and was complete. It's just not inserting them for some reason. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me please grab the word for a second, because I think this went unnoticed. But on the commit itself, the 1324 upgrade branch, right? There's a commit with the fix. And then the commit message is kind of long because it explains how this issue can be resolved. I just want to be on this on the sure side that we can guide people to this commit message and it will work out for them. So it will fetch the template buy offers from up-to-date APIs and insert all missing ones to make the database consistent. This fix is needed if you are currently running 1.3.21 and want to update to 1.3.24 or higher, or if you're currently running 1.3.24 and the filler is crashing. Not needed if you are currently running 1.3.24 or higher and have no issues with the filler. To make sure you can run select min buy offer from essentially a query to check if there are any buy offers present. And if it's filled, you are probably, then you're If not, then you're probably missing some history, and this script will fill the holes. So by this commit message, it sounds like this upgraded branch, you just will install it, run the filler, just start your AA API, and it will fill the missing holes. And what we now are talking about is that this fix is not working as intended. Am I correct?
The first sentence there in the description is what's failing. It will fetch, from up-to-date APIs and insert all missing ones.
Okay.
Problem is, not all the missing ones will be inserted.
Understood. So even though this fix is out and in public, this fix doesn't ensure that you don't run into this issue. So you will probably still run into this issue we are talking about.
Yeah, just to underline, it would be great to actually have some regression scripts which allow you to test your API, because we are at 3.24 upgrade at this moment, and everything seems to look good. But yeah, as it said, and as Ben mentioned, well, you might probably be missing something. And
I have an idea. Sorry, continue.
And that part of probably we can have some missing offers by offers. This is something that is interesting, and I think it requires additional investigation, because if neither API endpoint nor the filler indicate any issues with that, and continue business as usual, basically, it's something that creates a partial health state, I would say. So basically, it's the hardest way to troubleshoot, and we don't know where to troubleshoot, and which indicates a problem, basically, in your system. So if you are upgraded, what to do next, and what to troubleshoot.
All right.
I do have one idea why this is happening. So what we're doing while we're running the script is we're making calls to the live endpoint of the Atomic API, and we're doing so 900 times. The buy offers are now very active, and likely while we're doing these calls will change over time, and also jump in the index, and the indexes will change. So while the script is running and taking some time, people will cancel their buy offers or whatever, and then you're making calls to the same API, which does at the time change, and so you will not get consistent results. So I think it needs to be updated, switch to not making calls to the public Atomic API. For example, a Hyperion to replay all the actions to get a consistent state of the database.
All right, then let's have Pablo with the last comment on this. And
last comment on this, yeah. So
yeah,
sorry.
let's wrap it up then.
So just a clarification question. So isn't this by offer something that is dynamic by nature, and should we even bother to kind of considering filling out this part of Atomic API tables? So this is something that is important to keep, or we can kind of ignore some missing steps, some missing data in this specific table. Can you elaborate?
Okay, that's a good one. We would actually,
or do you want to?
Yeah, sure. If you have a good answer for that, I would just add that we require the Atomic Market endpoint on scoring the Atomic Assets API at the moment. So Atomic Market should be up and up to date whenever we test it. We don't test it thoroughly yet for any buy offer being present. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be happening, but the Atomic Market endpoint is part of what we evaluate when we are looking at Atomic Assets APIs, of course. Yeah, Ben?
Yeah, and it's going to be important since that will be now the case in the future on WAX, that you have listings on one side and buy offers on the other side. And anybody who wants to run a modern atomic API, and including atomic market, will require that information. And the table is as dynamic as the listing table is. So listings are constantly updated, and buy offers are also constantly updated. And if you don't have the data in your database of the buy offers that exist so far, like future updates will just fail, because the atomic API always dies when there's an update and no row has been affected. So
Okay.
yeah, it needs to be resolved.
All right. So here's what we will do. I think today in the roundtable was a nice summary of the issue and sharing some ideas on how to resolve the issue and how to investigate it any further. So what we will do is we will share the roundtable recording afterwards with the Spielworks team and have them look at it. Probably also going to create an official issue on it for it on the repository. And the next time we meet in 2 weeks, when the next roundtable is happening, I will surely update you on this matter and how it is progressing and what we can expect from that side. So that's what will happen next, and hopefully this will resolve this issue for all of you. And I'm pretty sure that most of the guilds are running 1.3.24 already. But on include nulls metrics for the atomic assets APIs, which we will probably kindly share in the chat now, you can already see that there are still a few endpoints running 1.3.21. So this will be relevant for those guilds especially. That's my closing statement for the atomic assets API incident. We can still we can continue discussing in the public groups, and I'm pretty sure we will see people showing up with this exact same issue until we have a next version release, which hopefully will fix this issue on a global level. Yeah, I did already mention that we are not evaluating the current atomic assets API version during the tech evaluations until we are sure that this issue is resolved and your atomic assets APIs are not affected. Luckily, it looks like nobody was affected in terms of uptime because the issue was resolved quickly. But surely we will treat it as a global incident whenever we run into an issue as that. So please continue submitting and reporting your issues, and we, the OIG, will take your concerns and into consideration when we evaluate those parts on the tech ops side. Right, so that's it so far from the guideline update for this month, version 5.5. We are steadily moving. I think next on the agenda is version 5 update across the network, somewhere in the beginning of the year, hopefully first quarter of the year. We'll keep you updated on those changes, and maybe we have already some changes to propose on the next roundtable when we will be drafting version 5.6. If you have any feedback at any time about the guidelines and you think it could benefit and improve the network's health and stability and reliability, please always take it public into the governance channels, make suggestions, and most importantly, share your experience and your pain points so that we can create a nice guideline for the community and for you guilds, of course. Wrapping up with the guidelines and the atomic acids API upgrade incident, next point on the agenda is the WAX tokenomics upgrade. And as I heard at the beginning, there is the need to talk about what's happening over there. Some issues have been experienced and reported. And what I can tell is there is no definite timeline for when this is going to be rolled out on the mainnet yet, but it is like very soonish. So somewhere around this week, next week. Anyways, I expect it to happen inside of January at the moment. So let's get into the WAX tokenomics upgrade. Anything you want to share with the other guilds, developers, and everyone that's tapping into our call in terms of tokenomics upgrade? Unders, maybe something you discovered while deploying on the testnet and testing everything?
Yeah, probably there's a few things. In the process, we had some. So the WAX team has tested everything in their own small testnets before, and to ensure we were running the same versions, we had some problems with the mismatches of hashes and things, but that was resolved. When they were pushed, everything seemed nice, but we had some actions that were failing for unknown reasons at the time. We pushed an upgrade to the EOS.io system contract, and then we activated the power-up feature, and we set the new global settings. And for some reason, the guild claim for the guild pay on testnet failed. We are not sure if there are more features, more actions that also would fail. But they all came down to that one account, eosio.fees, a new account, had a balance of nothing, and that made those actions fail. Why that is the case, I have no idea. We fixed it by me testing power up. I fixed it without even knowing that I did so. But that solved the problem, and that means that solution is actually, if we activate it on mainnet and just send any balance to that account, that issue will not come. But in my opinion, you should know why that issue occurred before you push it live on mainnet in case there is something else there. But nothing else has been discovered in any tests or any problems, and this was not discovered in their internal test before because they did not claim anything, they didn't test other actions, they pushed the contracts, they activated the power up, they tested power up, and that fixed everything, or we think it fixed everything.
So
All right.
I had a look at the smart contract when you showed it to me, and the issue simply was that with the new tokenomics, the fees are supposed to be used to pay for the validator rewards. So every time a validator claims, the fees are redistributed to the pools. Now, with the pool not being initialized as it happened on testnet, it checked the balance, and then the table row didn't exist, so the smart contract failed.
So there was no balance row in the table, right?
Yeah.
So that's
correct.
okay.
So it was not really a big issue, it was just an issue, and that's the only thing we have discovered so far. And then we have this situation where we have the shared resources of the power-up model, where it's supposed to have these 10% of the resources for the power-up model. For some reason in my head it says 30%. I don't know where I got that number. I know that the 10% is the goal. So I probably confused something. But 10% is the goal, and that means that 90% is still for staked resources. However, Aloha was testing to push one of their new collections and ran into CPU issues. And the reason for that is still unknown. I tagged the WAX team developer when that happened. He did not see that, but they are on it now, and I don't know what the study is, but they are taking that seriously and investigating if that is actually intended or not. And from what I could understand, that is not the intended result. So I would assume that that means that activating that on mainnet is delayed until that is fully understood and can be tested again. But I don't know.
All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing all this information. This topic will accompany us for the next days and weeks, surely, when we roll it out on mainnet. At some point, we need to think and talk about how we will be testing the new changes and not run into issues, or if we run into issues, how we shall report those issues and get them to the developers for a possible fix.
Kiefer raised his hand.
Oh, I didn't see. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiefer, go
I
ahead,
have
please.
an addition to the issues that has not widely been discussed, but will be a topic for all BPs, and that's API performance. So with the reduction of the CPU stacking, more accounts are at the brink of their CPU limit. And what I have experienced a lot now was that the subjective billing declined transactions because the fee, the processing estimate was very, very high compared to the actual processing on the endpoint, on the producer. So I've seen everything from 3 times the time up to 10 times. And this results in a very bad user experience because you get your transaction denied because of a wrong calculation or wrong assumption. And then this happens like 2 times, 3 times, and then you get all your further transactions declined because of subjective billing, because of your failed transactions. And this is going to be a huge issue that mostly comes down to API performance that we need to monitor and solve.
Also,
right.
producer settings, I guess, and leeway API settings.
Yeah, I just have
Pablo?
a following question in relation to Kiefer's comment. If that's an issue, I would say it's worth to discuss how do we address and create a proper guideline how to kind of address the performance issue, suggest proper configuration, and suggest proper hardware for that, if that's hardware limit cap as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sure.
So it seems to be inconsistent, and I've seen it on almost all endpoints of all guilds I tested. So it's not as severe on every endpoint. So on some, it's like an occasional 3x of the estimate, but some regularly have like 8 to 10x. So I assume this comes down mostly to the endpoints being utilized for different things other than just processing transactions or just running slower hardware for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So
ideally, you want the median of whatever producers are billing for it, whatever that is.
You mean as a CPU benchmark to monitor the performance?
You want to have the push API nodes to have the same performance as the median of all the producers. So
got it.
Yeah, the theoretical billing before the transaction goes to a BP is in the median, so it's most likely to go through.
But what I mean, there's a lot of bottlenecks around this anyway. So if you use, for example, if you take BP, for example, it's isolated environment in all matters, basically network, hardware, etc., etc. But in terms of API and push APIs in specific, it's heavily used public endpoint, which is something that kind of we should consider how should we approach as a group and address in general, because this is kind of quality of life of our product that we present to the users. And someone having good performance and someone not is something that we don't want to have, because we have to have proper performance for everyone who provides public API and other endpoints. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so what I expect to happen is Michael from Wax USA will go through every setting, try out whatever is possible, and share, of course, all his findings while breaking his notes and fixing them again.
But then those will only be on commercial hardware, you know.
That's the best way to test.
Yeah. Testing,
I'm
breaking,
all sorts
fixing.
of weird little quirks and whatnot. But I mean, I know Patrick was in there posting about it. I don't know if it was the hardware that he felt was truly driving that, because he did it not too long ago and it didn't have nearly that much of an issue. But again, I didn't dive too deep into it. But yeah, I mean, it's important. But what he was saying was the landscape hadn't changed that much in the last couple of weeks. And
yeah,
he was seeing massive CPU usage when he was trying to do these drops, like reported, not just subjective billing, like the account was reporting a lot of usage.
Yeah.
Anyway,
one problem with that is that he was using public APIs to get some of that data, well, public block explorers also. We don't know how accurate that is for reality, but the API CPU error was a reality. But like,
correct. I mean, subjective billing would have been one, but when you query the available CPU, I mean, that's the state DB, which in theory at any machine should be in sync. So that's why I was like, I don't know. I mean, we really got billed the hell out of it. Now, was it overbilled dramatically? One way or the other, but it didn't get overbilled a couple of weeks ago. But that's why I say I'm more curious about it at the power up level, because that's much more potential related versus a true potato, as much as I'd love to blame it.
No, oh yeah, this issue is for sure after the upgrade. It wouldn't have happened before.
Right.
Okay, so here's another idea.
Sure,
so since this is happening now, next week and the week after, whenever we see some severe issues, you can request us to the OIG to host like an unofficial call and spontaneous call, so we can hop onto it and discuss it together and share our logs and stuff. So don't hesitate. When you have the need to talk, we can host a spontaneous call any day of the week and hop into it. Yes, Anders, please.
Yeah, we have one more situation. We are launching the new Power Up. We need developers to understand how they can interact with Power Up.
Good point.
And I asked Aaron, the dev of the Wax team, to get that information, and I got a bunch of messages and links to code and stuff, and that will help. But we need, like, my hope is that I can go through it and I can understand it. I can write a blog post or something about, hey, this is the basics of how it actually works. But I don't know if that is enough. Do we need to do more things? I mean, it's, yeah, to understand it, you need to add an action before the other action, and you need to know how much that will cost probably to be able to charge them properly. And it's mainly a wallet problem, most likely, but also there will be services that will need to incorporate this to be able to help the users as intended with this change.
Okay,
probably.
Understood. So don't know exactly how to go about this, but if you happen to have time to write a nice article about how the Power Up system is used, we can have it as a topic on the next roundtable and have it recorded.
I think the good part about that is that it's mainly the Wax team's problem for the Wax Cloud wallet, and then Anchor. And they are already familiar with this for EOS with Power Up, although it's a bit different. But it's at least that will be the two main situations where they can incorporate this, but yeah. So it's probably not as huge issue as it could be, as long as stakes also still works.
Okay. Talking about stake also still works. I'm not even sure who to credit. It was either Joseph or Käfer that brought up an important concern regarding the Delphi Oracle prices, right? So after the tokenomics upgrade, Käfer, we will still need to be pushing the prices. And so you should prepare for it by having enough stake and also having some liquid balance. Just a short heads up. Any recommendations how we should treat that time after the upgrade where the Delphi Oracle might fail for some guild?
We have already seen some guilds fail due to CPU limitations.
On the testnet?
On the mainnet even.
Oh, okay.
So what hopefully will help is having more guilds pushing data. Right now we're limited to the top 30, I think. So having all guilds on mainnet, we might be able to reduce the amount of pushes. I think if all 30 push, I think every 3 minutes should be fine. Maybe every 2. We don't need to have everybody push once a minute as we used to when we only had like 5 to 10 people pushing.
Okay, sounds very reasonable. Shall we prepare for it and put it into the 5.5 guidelines, or shall we wait and observe the situation?
No, we should wait for 5.6 with that.
Mhm.
But in general, we need to prepare it and for now see how everything pans out with Power Up being implemented.
All right.
Ben raised his hand.
Oh yeah, Ben?
Yeah, just had a thought last time. Is there any value in adding other tokens on Wax that are listed on exchanges, for example, TLM or Brawl, to the Oracle as well?
If there's much public demand for it, of course, we shall. But I think it's not relevant if we don't plan to have any sort of bridges and price calculations on for those tokens or swaps, which are not even natively possible to those tokens. So
the idea with the oracles and giving points for it always was to have more pairs on the oracle to enable some more DeFi applications and stuff. So that's definitely something we have in mind, but we aren't there yet. That might make sense with the integration with the bridges now to Polygon. So the Wax team has the official bridge to Polygon. We have the one to East. So we might need to look into that. But
good. We don't have any Matic pair yet, right?
not yet. No, we don't have any. So far, we don't need it. But maybe we get to that point once we start bridging over to Matic, and we might need, I don't know, Matic something. Also, maybe something like BTC USD is, I think, is currently not pushed. ETH USD is not pushed. So having the core tokens on the Oracle might make sense. We can calculate it because we have Wax BTC and Wax USD, but having the tokens token price native makes sense.
Great. I wonder if there's a way to technically achieve some sort of subsidizing the price Oracle pushes. Like we or the Wax team pays a transaction fee if it should occur.
It literally has that built in. I don't know if it's still there, but it had the reward mechanism to pay for successful feeds by pair. So you can even have like system level feeds, which maybe are, they're just paid for and required. But it's designed to where I think even like Alien Worlds could present and give a bounty in TLM to say, hey, if you'll feed this pair with this precision and this, and the powers that control the contract approve it, then it's offered as an accepted pair on the contract, and then whatever Oracle decides to feed it can automatically get paid, unless Kafer broke that whenever he updated it.
No, I didn't update it. I think it's still there, but I think the route to go might be, if I'm not mistaken, you can define some contracts as system contracts or privileged contracts that always go through, even if you don't have a stake, like staking. If I'm not mistaken, staking always works and is free in terms of CPU, even if you don't have a stake. So maybe we can deploy the same mechanism for pushing to the Oracle.
Okay. Great info.
Possibly, but I can tell you this, and Ross is also one that does it too. We feed a massive amount of pairs on another chain, we'll say. And it is very expensive in CPU. I mean, you start ripping them in once a minute and you start smashing 10, 15 pairs in, I mean, it's like 35 million EOS worth of CPU over on EOS. Now their CPU Rex model balance is different, but
yeah,
it's not cheap.
That's why I said we could reduce the amount of pushes that are required or done. Also, we have the limitation that not everybody can push, but only whitelisted guilds, essentially.
I think my opinion is balance that carefully, because we saw, I don't remember what chain it was, where updates weren't coming in on a pair fast enough, and one guild that wasn't accurate was skewing the prices, right? So I mean, to have every 1 minute and to have multiple data points, I do think is important, because there are some inherent, once you start to slip below some certain limits, it can actually, and crypto's so dynamic that
absolutely agree.
it can actually start to skew. And we saw it. I was impressed that I think it was Detroit that actually was feeding more than others, and it caused all the others to kind of get trumped. And
maybe we need to have limitations so that you can only push in certain intervals. And there definitely needs to go some thought and some work into that before we make any big changes.
I personally tend to encourage spamming it on the chain as much as possible. That guarantees as close of a number as possible, but it is costly just for the sake of the argument. But the mechanism does exist for the community, could piggyback on there and say, we want you to feed our token too. And then of course we can also figure out, but it's expensive. Even if you don't charge CPU, you're going to eat up CPU in that block, so it's gone one way or the other.
Right. So, okay, this situation needs to be observed throughout the next days. Let's talk about it when we notice anything changes or any hiccups or anything else, and we'll adjust, of course, accordingly to have a vital price oracle on Wax. All right, I think that's the official part for today. I don't want to cut anyone off, but thanks for participating in today's roundtable. We'll have another one, an unofficial one, more dev-related one in 7 days. Join the Telegram channel and you'll see it announced there by public demand. No more Telegram Hangouts, but Google Meets. So I'll be sharing the link a day or two before, but it's always Tuesday, 15 UTC. Same time, will not change so fast. We will announce if the schedule is changing. Thanks for all the insights and sharing your experiences, and helping to make Wax a better network. Let's stop the recording.